The Drug Alternative Program presents Drugs Close to Home. Your weekly insight into the ongoing stories of struggle, victory, and the spiritual renewal of rehabilitation. Each week, Cliff and Freddie Harris, co-founders of the Drug Alternative Program, would like to introduce you to the many people who have touched their lives through their spirit-filled ministry. But most of all, they would like to share with you the blessings they continue to receive from Jesus Christ. And now, your hosts of Drugs Close to Home, Cliff and Freddie Harris.
Welcome to Drugs Close to Home, a program about the destruction that drugs causes our families.
And the power of Jesus Christ that heals them. We believe every life is worth saving.
And Freddie, that is so true, because every changed life is a miracle from God.
You know, honey, we always like to dress like the Bobbsey twins, huh?
and you know where we got that was when we went to Hawaii that time.
Right, at the ASI convention.
Yes.
We went shopping, and I got a Hawaiian dress, and you got a Hawaiian shirt.
Matching.
Yeah, so we just kind of like it, and that's why we enjoy coordinating our colors.
Well, you know, we do everything together anyway.
Right.
We're so together. Oh, yes, I love you so much.
Listen, today we are talking about grief and bereavement. Now, I want to introduce a couple to you, Ira and Sarah Lake. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Ira, you're an expert on this subject, and we want you to talk to us, you and Sarah, about grief and bereavement.
Well, grief can be so confusing for many people, particularly since it involves so many emotions. Mm-hmm. But grieving is also a process that really has no set time limit. And such was the case when I met Sarah. She had been grieving for about 11 years.
Wow, 11 years.
So what happened with all of this during these 11 years? What you went through? How did you feel? What was the process?
Well, my son was diagnosed with cancer. He died less than a year later after his diagnosis. And after he died...
Wait a minute, how old was he?
He was 18 when he was diagnosed,
Just
19
18?
when he died.
Young man.
Yes, 19 when he died. So when he died, my faith in God was really, really strong. And it helped because when I told him that he was about his diagnosis, he said, "Mom, don't worry, this is like Job." He says, "Remember," he says, "Satan said, God said, you can touch his body, but you can't touch his soul." And so he says, "Don't worry, we'll be fine." So during the course of his illness, and even after he died, I felt okay. You know, I felt like I was strong and that God was with me, and everything was going to be okay. But, you know, then afterwards, there was just emptiness, and there was loneliness, and there was just a part of you was missing, you know. And so then you started to feel the anger, the depression, just being furious that, well, why did my son, who was a honor roll student, you know, why did he have to die? I mean, he didn't do anything wrong.
And the thing of it is, when you think about it, it's like, why did you blame God?
I was angry, yes, I was angry. Because,
angry with God?
Yes, because I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, and I thought, okay, you know, God is in the healing business, he's in the saving business, and I'm thinking, why did you have to take him? He was, you know, he didn't do anything to anybody, and why? And please excuse me, but my brother was in the drug business, and so I thought, why didn't you take him?
Right.
Why did you take mine? You know, mine didn't. I mean, he had a life to live, and so I was angry. And so after he died, I tried to find help with a bereavement group, and I called them twice, never got a response. And so I just kind of fell through the cracks, and I thought, you know what, I'll do this on my own. And
wait just a minute. You mean to tell me after you contacted the bereavement group?
Two groups.
Two groups?
Yes.
They did not respond back
No one
to
returned
you?
my phone call. No one returned my phone call. So
how did that make you feel? That was another letdown, right?
I just figured, you know, I was going to get this through with God's help. You know, I was going to make it through, and I had a core group of friends that were very close to me, and I knew that if I needed anything or if I would pick up the phone at any time, day or night, and I would call them, and they were right there listening to me. And sometimes in the middle of the day, I would call them, and I'd say, I don't, there's no reason for me to be crying because it's not an anniversary, it's not something, I just don't know what triggered it, and I'd be crying on their shoulder. So I had a group of friends who were close to me and who would help me. So I just said, forget the bereavement group, I'll do this on my own. And I was a runner, and so after he died, I picked up my running again, and I would be on the Santa Ana riverbed, and I would be doing my running, and there was where I would do my crying, my yelling, my screaming. I would be just telling God, you know, everything that I felt, and I would be just kicking dirt because I was angry that he had taken my son. And so that was one of the things that I did to help myself come out of the grieving process. And I started journaling. I started writing letters to God, or, you know, and I would say, dear Lord, you know, this is what's going on today. This is what's going on in my life. This is how I'm feeling. And I would go to the grave, and I would sit there, and I'd start writing to God, and I said, I'm here at my son's grave, you know, and I can't believe that he's laying underneath this ground. I just felt like I had to be there to put a blanket over him because it was so, the dirt was so cold,
right.
you know. Those were some of the things that I was feeling, and I thought I was doing good. I thought I was doing fine. But it was affecting my work as well. People were telling me that I was no longer the sharp person that I was at work, and people at work were telling me that you know, they wanted to talk to me, but they didn't know how. They didn't know what to say, and just little things started occurring that, you know, I guess I was just slipping into depression. I didn't take any medication. I didn't do any of that, but I just started withdrawing. You know, just started going into my own self.
Did you withdraw from your friends and family?
Yes, I withdrew from my friends and from my family. I told them I didn't want you to call me on my birthday. Don't call me for his birthday. Don't call me on Mother's Day. Don't call me on Christmas time. They would have family functions, and I'd say thank you, but, you know, I wouldn't go.
And how long did this last?
It was at least 5 years before I went and I sought some counseling. And this was because my physician, I was starting to not sleeping at night. And so I went to my physician and I said, you know, I need something to help me sleep. I need some sleeping pills. And she says, well, I'll give you the medications, but on one condition. She says, you need to go find help. And I said, okay, fine. So at the time, I was at Campus Hill Church, and they had advertised counseling. So I called the number, and I went to see the counselor.
Did you get a response right away?
I did.
Yeah,
I sure
right.
did. I sure did. I called her right away, and she answered me immediately. I got an appointment practically the next day, and so I went to see her, and I had many sessions with her. But I didn't feel like I was going anywhere. I didn't feel like I was getting anything. So I said, oh, forget it. And at the time, I was living in Orange County, so it was a long drive.
Right.
And I said, no, this is not working, so I let it go. And years went by, and in 2010 or 11, I was starting to hit rock bottom. I was at the point where I would go to church, but I would come home, and I would be a mess. I was a mess. I mean, I was in my bedroom, and I just laid myself on the floor, and I said, Lord, I said, I cannot take this anymore. I said, I'm sinking. The water is here, and I can't breathe anymore. You have to do something for me because this is just not working.
You just felt drowned.
I was drowning. I was hitting rock bottom. And I remember calling some friends from church, and I was telling her, pray with me, talk to me. I said, because I can't, and I told her what was going on. And I said, I need somebody to talk to because I can't take this anymore. I said, I don't know what is, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I said, because I feel like, you know, even though you believe in God, that you should be healed, or that you shouldn't question it because you believe in God, right? If you have faith, something should happen. And yet here I was. I believe in God, but I wasn't feeling any better. I wasn't getting any better. So I just called for help. And
so what was the turning point to getting victory over your depression?
I met somebody.
Oh, she met somebody.
At all this time, I used to tell the Lord, take me. I'm ready. I don't have a purpose. I don't have a meaning. I don't want to
Wait
live.
just a minute. When you say you tell the Lord to take you, what do you mean?
Like you're ready to die.
I asked him, I pleaded, I demanded, I argued. I said, you know, my son is dead. I have no more children. My family doesn't need me. Everybody lives far away, and the few people that were close by, we're not close anymore. And I said, I have no reason to live. I said, I'm ready. Actually, I never expected to live past the year after his death. I was so sure that I was going to die within that year. I was so sure that that grief was just going to consume me, and I was not going to make it.
But you wanted God to take your life.
Yes, yes.
Not you take your own life.
That's right. You know, as Seventh-day Adventists, we're taught that, you know, you cannot take your own life.
Right.
God, this is the one who decides to take your own life. But I did things sort of like not eating because I figured then I could waste away
right.
and then it would be okay, right?
Right.
Because I wasn't committing suicide,
Right.
right? But then I got back on the eating again. But during all that time, I would pray and I would ask and demand and just tell him, you know, I'm ready. Take me anytime. I don't want to live. There's nothing to live for. There's no meaning. There's no purpose. Just let me go to sleep.
Okay.
But obviously, he had another reason.
Another plan
In other
for you.
words, you were feeling like there was no purpose.
No, absolutely
You didn't have
not.
no value.
No.
Nothing to contribute.
Nothing to live for.
Yes.
But God did have a purpose.
God had a different
For your
purpose
life.
for my life, yes.
And what happened?
After the years had gone by, I was like just existing, just occupying a little space here on earth. And I thought, okay, well, then I may as well start doing something. So I started going on dating sites, and I had joined this particular site, and I met Ira. And that's when the breakthroughs started happening, right when I met him.
Okay, Ira, what happened when you met her?
Well, when I met Sarah, I could tell right away that she was manic depressive, borderline manic depressive.
Now wait a minute. When you say you guys met, how do you mean you met? In a way of counseling her or going through your bereavement or?
No.
They met online.
Yeah, we met at a.
Oh, you met online.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
We met online, and the second date, I think, or so, he said, I would like to be in your life. Not as a counselor. He says, that is my profession, but I don't want to be that in your life. He says, I would like to be in your life and help you put it back together again. I would like to be with you as you put your life together again, but I cannot be that a counselor in your life. That's not the part I want to play in your life. You need help.
Well, let's take a break right here, and we'll be coming right back, and we can go from there. And Ira, you can tell us what you
The rest
some
of
the
the story.
rest of the story, what you went through. Okay,
Okay.
We'll be right
back.
back. Oh, we did that together.
That was powerful. That was.
God plays a great role for me because when we get up early in the morning, when we do worship and we open up our day with God, the rest of the day goes good, you know. But when we don't have God and when we neglect and push God away, then we don't have a great day. But most definitely we need God, and most definitely I need Him every day. So without God being in DAP, I don't even know what it'd be a DAP because God is the most important component of DAP.
I live in a home and love is pouring out right where I'm at. And it makes me feel more blessed every day that the care is there for me, which it wasn't like that before.
When I first came to DAP, I was surprised about the place that we were going to stay in. It was, I did not expect the place that it was like a house setting. I did not expect the furniture, the TV, the dining room. I thought it would be more like a clinical setting, like a bed, you know, a place to, like a convalescent place or something like that. I did not expect the house, like a neighborhood setting.
What I look forward to the most is most definitely always going to be seeing lives change, because that's the reason I'm here, you know, and that's the reason I want to stay here and do what I do, because I get enjoyment out of it when I see people's lives are changed, you know, because that's what it's all about. as Miss Harris always say, you know, God got us together to do service, to do His work. We are His hands, we are His eyes, we are His mouth. So, and I get enjoyment out of that, is to give back, to see someone else's life change just like mine was.
When somebody takes the time out to even donate, because this is the way the program is structured, whether you have money or not, you're accepted in the program. All you have to do is be willing to do what you need to do. And just to see that they took that step to even, not say offered, but are willing to like donate to us to make the program work, it's second to none.
It helps me a lot to know that someone cares that much for someone they don't even know. So it makes it even better, you know, and it makes that reward even greater. It makes me want to achieve even more when I know someone cares for me that never met me before. So it helps me a lot.
Welcome back. We're talking to Ira and Sarah Lake. Now, Sarah, you had just gone through the grief of your son, and then you meet Ira. And Ira, tell us the rest of the story.
Well, I'm trained as a grief and bereavement expert, and I can tell you that what Sarah described to you were some basic things that happens to one's body when death occurs. There's a physiological effect or shock to the system. Things like loss of appetite, loss of sleep, irritability, anger, frustration.
And she experienced all of that.
Yes. And if you leave them untreated, then they can develop into, they can get worse, progressively worse, to the point where you become suicidal or you lose your meaning for life. And that's where I met Sarah. She was not suicidal, but she had lost her meaning for life. And just talking to her, the pain was so real. It was as if her son had died yesterday. And it had been 11 years. And that's when I told her, I want to be in your life, but I thought it would be a conflict of interest for me.
As a counselor.
As a counselor. And then you depend on me, and then I take advantage of your feelings in your state like that. So I told her, go get some help.
Because you were interested in her personally,
yes.
Not as a person you wanted to counsel.
Yes.
Yes.
But are there a lot of people out there who bereave in a sense to they just die right away, especially like a couple, the husband or the wife dies first, and within a year, the other one dies.
Yes.
You know, because of the grief that they go through, the pain and all of those situations that goes on. Give us a little bit of that.
Well, first of all, no two people grieve alike. Everybody has a different way that they go through this process. You see a couple who's been married for 40 years. They've had such a connectivity that it's like you losing a part of yourself. No one can understand what a mother goes through when she loses her only child.
Like Sarah.
It shakes you to your core. And your son was attached to you. He was your air, your breath.
Only child.
Yes. Yes.
So, what happened?
Well, Sarah, I'll let you tell us that. I gave her that little, it was not an ultimatum, but it was an ultimatum.
Right.
Get some help.
Okay.
I called that counselor again, and I said, hi. I said, I don't know if you remember me. And she says, oh, yes, I know who you are.
Good.
And I said, I would like to see you again. And she says, absolutely. And we saw her. I didn't even tell him that I had made the call. Like, he told me on a Tuesday, I called on a Wednesday. You know? And I had made my appointment. I didn't even tell him that I made my appointment, but I called her and I said, I need to talk to you again. And I said, you know, I met someone. And I said, and this is what he told me. And she says, well, that was very wise. She says, to not mingle the two things together. And I said, thank you for seeing me after all these years and for interrupting the program. And she said something that really struck me to the core. She says, there is no statute of limitations on how many years it takes you to grieve. She said it takes someone 1 year, 2 years, it took you 11 years. It doesn't matter. She says, God does not put a statute of limitations on your pain and on your grief.
Amen.
She says, whenever you're ready, God is right here. She said, it wasn't time when you were here, it wasn't the right time. Fine, you're here now. Now this is going to work. And it did. Right after I saw her, my breakthrough started to come. My first breakthrough was meeting him.
Would you say that gave you a purpose or a connection with? No, I'm not saying that you all fell in love right then and there. I'm not saying that. But did it give you some kind of boost in your life, or gave you a different thinking?
Yes.
When you first?
Yes, because of the conversations we had had on our first date, I realized that that wasn't just a boost, it was just divine providence that had brought us together when we started comparing our notes. So that was my first breakthrough. And then my second breakthrough came when he introduced me or had me meet in person another person who had already put the wheels in motion about what was going to happen to me. And when I went to this doctor's house, his wife said something that made me think and made me purposely repeat to myself what she said. She had lost her two children in a fatal car accident, and she buried both of them at the same time. And so she told herself, her mantra was, I choose to find joy. I choose to find joy. I choose to find joy. And that was my second breakthrough. I said, I choose to find joy with Ira. I choose to find joy with Ira. I choose to find joy with Ira. That was my second breakthrough. And as Providence would have it, one of the pastors invited him to give a lecture or sermon at one of the churches, and I went with him. And they were sitting in the front. I was sitting behind him. And you've heard him Because He Lives so many times. You've sung it so many times.
Right.
I love that song.
I've sung it so many times.
Lives.
Yes.
Remember we used to sing that song?
Yes. I'd seen the lyrics. I'd seen I just sang it. It never said. And during all those 11 years, I'd sung the song, but it never meant anything. And that day we were at church, and they were singing the song, and the words were on the screen, and it was the first time that I saw the meaning of those words. And his back was to me, and I was crying in church. And I thought, okay, I got it. I got the message, Lord. I know what it is you're trying to tell me. And I won't say that was the healing part, but that was what brought me back to my senses, so to speak, because I saw the words, and then I said, okay, Lord, I got it. And from then on, things got easier and better. And I went back to the counselor, and I told her all about what was going on. And she said that was great. You know, what we hadn't accomplished years ago, this was the time. She says, this is the time that God has set for you to find healing. No statute of limitations. No, there's no time frame. Everybody grieves at their own process, at their own time, at their different. Everybody goes through differently, she said. So don't feel bad that yours took 11 years to get there. And that was how it else.
A breakthrough.
That was the third one, and that was the most powerful one because like I said, when I saw those words, that's when I realized that the Lord was speaking to me. It was the first time that He had opened my eyes to the words.
Because He lives, I can face tomorrow.
That's right.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
I have a friend. I can't say they're friend, but I don't want to. They are a family member. That her husband has passed away. Now, she lives in the same house, and it's a big house, and she's all alone. No one's living in the house but her. Now, would you say that person needs to disconnect herself from the home and move into someplace else, or what would you say to that?
There is no right or easy answer because that home is the place of memories.
Yes.
And it's hard to get rid of memories physically, but you're always going to have the memory here. And what I do is I try to encourage my clients to do something different in the home. change it around. I'm working with a couple now who he lost his mother, and then a week later she lost her mother. So we had a double tragedy going on, and the very room when you walk into the house, it just reminded them, and it kept everything intact, all the clothes. And so after about 7 sessions with them, I said to the lady, I said, you gotta go through that, because part of getting rid of stuff helps your grieving process. Go through that closet and keep the things that are real close and dear, but you can't keep everything. Otherwise, that's going to be your museum. And you know what a museum is?
Yes.
That's where you go and celebrate the dead stuff.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And we want to start living again.
Yes.
I went back and, paint the room, change the furniture. That way, you don't get rid of the memory, but you don't live with the, the shame spread that she covered herself with, or, just change it up a little bit.
Well, Sarah, you said that you had a purpose, after those 3 breakthroughs. Now, that purpose included you, Ira?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so how did you find out that you had a purpose when you...
I didn't, not right away.
Okay, so what happened?
It's, we dated for almost a year and a half, married December, and we had started a ministry prior to us getting married, and I was helping. I was in the background. I was, doing this and that.
Just 1 minute. Let's stop right here, Freddie.
They dated for 18 months.
Yes, but you know what? We're almost out of time, and I want to, and we love stories, now don't we?
Yes.
And see, look at them, Freddie. They just are laughing and grinning. How long have you guys been married?
About 7 weeks.
Oh, they're
you just told me
newlyweds.
5 when you did the other program.
Well, that was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
That was 2 weeks ago? Okay, so it's 7 now, huh?
It could have been 6, I don't know. You get lost in town when you're in love.
All right. Well, this is what we want to do. Will you do this for us? Will you come back and let's do another program about the love story?
Yes.
And I know you guys out there, you like love stories. Don't we like love stories, Freddie?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't we come back and we'll do a love story, okay?
Great.
And we'll talk about how you met, and look at them. They just as happy, smiling, and you look alive.
Yes.
You look
yes.
alive.
I am.
We could never tell you were
Yes.
depressed for 11 years.
And God
Oh, yes.
means for us to be alive.
Yes.
And we want to thank you for coming on and giving your testimony of how the Lord has blessed you and brought you out of your bereavement period. And isn't God good?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes,
It's
He works in
amazing.
His own ways.
Amazing. In
Yes.
His own timing.
And we want to thank you for coming. But we want to ask you guys to give us a call on the telephone. And remember that if you need any help or you want to talk or have us, give us a call and we'll be glad to talk with you.
We love you.
And Jesus loves you even more.